Minecraft is one of those games that will just never be finished. With updates coming out annually, there's been tons of new additions to make the game more interesting. But sometimes it does exactly the opposite of what Mojang intends and sends the community into a blind rage. Today, I'm going to be going through the 5 worst Minecraft updates that drove the community to other games. Stick around because some of these you definitely won't expect, especially the last one. Without further ado, let's get right into it. The first update I want to talk about isn't actually an official release of the game, but instead a beta version. Beta 1.8 changed the game forever with the addition of sprinting and, most importantly, hunger. What's not to like about it? Well, it sounds like an obvious decision now, but at the time of 2011, this upset the entire community, and for good reason. Up until this date, food regenerated health immediately. The addition of the food bar is one of the most controversial topics in Minecraft at the time. Many players argued that they shouldn't have to eat if they didn't take damage.
Before, if you didn't take any damage, you didn't have to eat. And in my opinion, that should still be a thing.
A reasonable response, as players don't want to have to use their resources if they didn't make a mistake in the first place. It doesn't make things better when we start to consider how slowly hearts regenerate in Beta 1.8, sometimes taking minutes to heal back to full health. Eventually, Mojang fixed this with a short burst of regeneration as soon as the player eats to a full hunger bar. Beta 1.8 also updated the world generation as well, which unfortunately is another cause for complaint. Beforehand, in Beta 1.7, large mountains and overhangs could be found to make exceptional bases upon. The changes to world generation in Beta 1.8 made everything feel flat and bland. Unless you were to find an extreme hills biome, most everything stayed at sea level. Speaking of sea level, you might as well call this the first ocean update, as oceans were absolutely massive, making it feel like half the world was just a sea. While many people unliked this update at the time, it introduced core game mechanics to what we know of the game today. A few years later, 1.7 came out, which introduced some new biomes and a change to world generation. This solved a lot of previous complaints with the landscape, but unfortunately, 1.7.2 came out shortly after, and somehow made people upset all over again. This update changed the cave systems, but not like how we think of a cave update today after 1.18. Instead of making the caves more interesting and expansive, it made caves smaller and less adventurous. The point of it was so that caves didn't take over the entirety of the underground, which makes sense, but it only made people more upset. Instead of caves interlocking and expanding in every possible way, a lot of them just dead-ended. Most people found this boring and uninteresting, and I can't blame them. Alright, on to the next update. Now, everybody who's been watching my channel for a bit knows about this next update I'm going to talk about. The infamous 1.9 combat update. This update has a lot of problems, and people made sure that Mojang knew they screwed the pooch on this one. Possibly the most hated, despised, and controversial update to Minecraft. The 1.9 combat update changes some key features. First of all, it removed spam clicking for fighting. To a lot of current Minecrafters, this is just reality, but to the majority of the Minecraft population in 2016, this sucked. Minecraft was already in a steady decline as the previous update was almost 2 years prior, and many old players who used to love the survival aspect of the game had gotten bored and moved on to mini games like survival games, Skywars, or ultra hardcore. But as soon as this update came out, it shattered everyone's dreams. We had all been waiting on an update that was going to change the game completely, but not like this. This change split the game's community in half, effectively locking the PvP community in the past. Ever wonder why PvP is not a large part of Minecraft's community anymore? It's because of this update. It's why Hypixel is still natively stuck on the 1.8.9 update. It uses plugins so that people can join the server on newer versions. But if you want the full PvP experience, you've got to go back to 1.8.9 to compete with the rest. And because of this, the community had no choice but to live with the fact that they were stuck in an old version or move on to a new game. 1.9 also added elytras, which may not have been a big deal at the time, but ultimately they resulted in some interesting side effects down the line. Most notably, it sped up the game considerably. With the addition of shulker boxes just around the corner in 1.11, the game was about to take a big turn. Horses and minecarts became obsolete, as it was easier to wait a little to get wings than it was to waste iron on minecart tracks. Unfortunately, the complaints didn't end at 1.9. A few months later, the 1.10 update came out, and we got everything we could ever ask for. Just kidding, we got 3 nether blocks, strays, husks, and polar bears. That's it. This update was the most underwhelming update Mojang has ever put out. Strays are a skeleton variant that shoots slowness arrows and only exist in snowy biomes. Husks are a zombie variant that only exist in desert biomes and give hunger when they hit you, and polar bears do nothing. Needless to say, the community didn't really care about this update. If you wanted to, you could load a world in 1.10 and I guarantee you wouldn't be able to tell if it's 1.9 or not.
Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. They're the same picture.
And finally, the last update on the list, Minecraft 1.13. I know what you're saying, how could people hate the aquatic update? It was awesome, dolphins are cute, and searching for shipwrecks or buried treasure is a ton of fun. The problem with this update has nothing to do with the physical additions to the game, but instead is entirely an issue with the game's performance. For whatever reason, this update is incredibly laggy. Players with low-end specs are now required to use Optifine to play at a normal frame rate.
What the?
Large servers like 2B2T flat out couldn't update as it was impossible to get the server to run. Things have improved slowly with updates like 1.13.1, 1.13.2, and other updates down the line. However, the game is still stuck at a lower quality. It's still noticeable on regular servers and single player worlds as chunks slowly generate. If you want to hear more about how Minecraft is screwed up, watch this video here about how Microsoft completely screwed over Mojang. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. And if you want to be a part of the community, make sure to join the Discord. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.